Alright, so college hookup culture. Is it a thing? Do I have to partake in it? Is there a lot of peer pressure to be involved, or can I just do my own thing? These are all the questions to be having once you get into college and uni life. And we're just gonna get into all the various questions that you might be having. And yeah, pretty much it.
Yawning, barring off. Check the points, ain't scarring off. Said you're gonna ride, but you're stalling. They ain't about money, why we warring? Fuck the talking, and let it ring.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. This channel aims to provide you edutainment, and every single video aims to not only entertain you, but to also educate you on various subject matters. I got the homie Sara in the cut.
Hey guys.
How y'all doing? Alright, so let's start by defining what a hookup really means. Some people think of hookup as like just kissing, from all the way from kissing to like actually having sex. But what should someone like have an idea of like hookup?
I mean, I think hookup is like you're either smashing or like if you give head or like you get head or whatever, like that's a hookup too. But definitely not just kissing, because like that's just too soft. You know, I do that for fun. Like that's just like that doesn't even mean anything to me. You know, like.
Cause like you can kiss a lot of different people, but like you're not gonna necessarily smash a lot of different people.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll kiss my female friend like as a joke, you know, like whatever, or not as a joke. Like, yeah.
But yeah, if you're considering hookup as just being kissing, and you use that terminology, always definitely clarify if you're gonna use that. But for most people, when they say hookup, it's like actually smashing and get in and stuff like that.
Anything beyond making out, you can kind of fill in with hookup, and then you just kind of get into more details depending on who you're telling the story to.
Alright, so next question is, do you feel it's possible to survive college without being involved in hookup culture?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it also depends on kind of like your values and stuff too, right? So, for example, if you're like very like sexually empowered and you feel really comfortable with that kind of stuff, then yeah, for sure, like you're gonna be involved in that. But there's some people who don't really like to hook up. You know, if you wanna just have sex like when you're in a relationship, or just have sex with like very specific people that you know you wanna actually be with, or if you're in a long-term relationship or like just in a series of relationships, you're probably not gonna be hooking up too much, right? But I think in terms of like the pressure to hook up, I feel like it's been pretty much non-existent. I mean, there's like minimal pressure there, but I've never had like any of my friend groups or whatever be like, yo, you should like definitely go hook up, and then they actually like push you to do it. They'll encourage you, like they got your back. They're not gonna be like, bitch, smash that guy, you know, like no, that doesn't happen.
I think the only pressure that would come is from someone you're actually dealing with, right? Let's say,
yeah, for sure.
Your friends are not necessarily, okay, let me put it this way, like guys, I guess a lot of your male friends, they may say, oh, why haven't you had sex or whatever, but like no one's gonna necessarily force you, like, oh yeah, if you don't do this, you're not gonna be like cool or whatever. Like it's not even a thing.
It doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't mean anything.
Oh man.
Like I have a wide range of friends. Some of them like to hook up a lot, some of them never hook up. Like it's whatever you really want, right?
Yeah.
But I think definitely with your partners or with like your guy friends or you know your whatever more than that, like there can be a bit of pressure too, right? Because it's like sometimes it's difficult when everyone around you is like you already know they're having sex and stuff, or like you already know they're already smashing the dude, like you know, like a date in, or like you know just like on Tinder. So sometimes it's hard because you're like, man, like you know, like choosing what you want to do and like sticking to your values is difficult sometimes.
I guess maybe not be friends with people who aren't hooking up, and then you won't have that pressure at all either. No,
I think you should still be friends with them. Like it's no big deal, right? Like it's also on you, right? Like if you're letting yourself feel that bad because your friends are hooking up, like don't hook up because you feel bad. You actually want to hook up with the person.
Alright, so the third question is like, how can you tell if the guy you wants something like casual or like actually a relationship?
Yo man, I wish there was a cookie cutter response to that. Like I wish I could be like, yo, if he does X, Y, and Z, like he's definitely down. But like at the end of the day, it's really difficult to tell. I think it's difficult to tell what the other person wants, but you should definitely be really honest with yourself and know what you want. So if you want something more than a hookup sometimes, you gotta really kind of, gauge what your feelings are, set your boundaries, and be like straight with the guy. So like I know sometimes it's difficult when you're like hooking up with them and like you start catching feels and you're scared they're gonna like run away and shit. But at the end of the day, let's say you catch feels for them and then like they're like, nah, I'm not about that. You don't want to keep hooking up with that person anyway. Like cut your losses, man. It's over, like, you know? But I think sometimes there's some signs, like sometimes you can just tell when someone's really into you, like if they really want to spend more time. I think one of the biggest telltale signs though is if they want to do things with you that's not just like hooking up, right? Like if it starts to become more like you're actually being friends, but like for the friends with benefits and like, you know, wanting to be more than that, I think that's the most blurry line, because when you're hooking up, you're just hooking up, right? But let's say you're friends with benefits, that's when like you have all the elements of a relationship without the commitment. So that's the blurry line there.
So I think like if you really want, I think the main part is like it's not just like when you guys are hanging out, it's not just hooking up.
Yeah.
It's like it's actually like
you having deep talks with him? Like is he taking you to dinner? Like are you watching a movie and actually making it through the movie? Like I'm not saying 10 minutes and you're smashing, like, you know, like what's going on there, right?
Like if you're having sex with somebody, don't expect that necessarily that they'll stay or that they'll leave. Right? Because like you do it because you genuinely want to do it or you feel like doing it.
Absolutely, and in the moment too, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't owe them anything. But I think that if you want something real with somebody and you know that off the bat, you're like, listen, like I do actually kind of like this person, then I would actually say don't hook up immediately, because the minute you go and you have that like meaningless sex, like sex becomes like it's not as good, you know?
Yeah.
Like versus like if you wait a little bit and like you guys actually like feel more intimate, feel close, you're more comfortable around them, and it's less about your wants and being selfish, and you can actually just have like some really bomb sex, you know? And like I've done that too, where I've seen both sides of it, so I've learned from my mistakes, right? Like I've waited to have sex with somebody and it's just been so much better, but then I've also like smashed way too early on and like it's been a hookup, and then all the feelings that I could have had and all the potential for a relationship is gone because I had like mediocre, like meaningless sex or whatever, you know?
How would you say someone should like screen out a guy real quick? Cause like some guys can say like they want to like get to know you, but then they'll still like
You're still trying to smash, right? Yeah. Well, that's where it comes in. Like, if this guy's trying to wait for you to smash, then like, it's probably there's more potential there, right? But if he's like always like he's like pressuring you, he's like, oh no, babe, like let's just try this out, like let's do it, like it's no big deal, I'm still gonna be here, whatever. Like at the end of the day, do it when you're comfortable, right? Like let's say like he's like, yeah, I'm trying to stick around, you wait, you smash, and then he dips. That's just a trash day. That's just a waste man. It's like, you know, you can't really do anything about that, but at least you tried, or at least you gave it the time, the potential.
So the fourth one is like, how do you deal with being ghosted after catching feelings? Whether you guys actually went on a date, whether it was after having sex, or
just have a good cry, eat some ice cream, go drink some beer. But at the end of the day, surround yourself by good people and like have your friends like be your support system, right? So like talk to them about it, like get your emotions out. Like it's gonna hurt for sure. If you caught feels and they're gone, like that fucking sucks. But at the end of the day, you need to know that like you are worth it. You can't let that shitty experience kind of define the rest of your like hookups or dating or whatever. Like you can't let the actions of that one person make you doubt everyone else or make you like, you know, question everything moving forward. So just because one person ghosted you doesn't mean you need to be super scared that every single person is gonna start ghosting you now and like you're not worth it. Like no, you are worth it. It's just some people are shitty, and that's it.
I think definitely again, experience the emotion. Don't like try to suppress it. Like what do babies do when they cry to the fullest, and then within like 10 minutes
they're done. They're like, all right, cool, I'm over it, I'm gone.
So experience the emotion, but like also if you're following him on like social media or whatever, definitely unfollow him because there's no point. You don't want to see his face.
Exactly. You don't want to see him at all. You're fine.
But yeah, so just when people start acting different, peep the behavior and then match accordingly. Like if they were texting you before, no longer texting you, you probably shouldn't be texting that guy or girl anymore, right? So adjust accordingly to how people are behaving and acting towards you.
And don't wallow in self-pity too much. Like it's gonna suck for sure, but you need to move on at a certain point.
Facts. And then like this is another one. This one's kind of iffy. Is like, can a hookup turn into a relationship?
I think it can. I've seen it turn into a relationship a couple of times, but I think it's a little bit more difficult at that point, at least for me anyway. Because kind of like I said before, like if I've already had just like that meaningless sex, whatever, it's also kind of like an expectation that you're now just gonna smash them a lot. And like I personally don't like that. I would have a bit more control and more respect in the relationship. But I've definitely seen a couple of my friends like, you know, they hook up and then they like keep wanting to hook up because there's a lot of like sexual chemistry and stuff, and like you know, and then it continues from there. But I think the good thing about at least when you hook up is you know how sexually compatible you are, right? Because that's a really big thing. Let's say you're really into somebody, but you are not sexually compatible at all. Like it's not gonna happen, right? But you also know like like, is that sexual chemistry there? And that's like so key, honestly. You cannot be in a relationship without sexual chemistry. It's just sad. Like, you're not 40 or 50 years old trying to, you know, be together just because of your family. Like, no, you're young. You need to have those vibes, right?
Cause I've seen like a lot of different like story times on YouTube and stuff like that, where like she was saying everything was good about him, but like his sex game was so weak. She's like, oh. And then she's like, all of a sudden, everything about him started becoming ugly.
Yeah.
Like, she wasn't really feeling him like that anymore. Right?
Yeah, like, dude, I'm in a relationship, I'm in a couple where there's just, the sex was not good, and you don't want to be in that relationship. Like, you're just like, fuck, like, you know? Like, you're trying to be sexually frustrated and unsatisfied all the time. That's not chill.
I think a lot of girls think that guys just want sex. But like, yeah, guys want sex. But most of the girls that guys do sleep with tend not to be like their ideal type, right? Because like, let's say he had sex with Beyonce on the first night or whatever. They're not just leaving Beyonce just because she had sex with her.
Oh shit, that's tricky. I feel that, okay.
Yeah, because so like, if you were his ideal type of girl to begin with, he was not just gonna leave just because like, oh, you guys smashed the first night or the first time.
Or because you didn't smash.
Or because you didn't, right? He would either, if you were smashed, he would want to continue getting to know you outside of just sleeping with you, or if you actually liked you as well, he'd be patient in waiting that, okay, I still like her, I like her enough to like get to know her, but I still ultimately want to smash.
And you can also tell a lot from people's personality, like when you're smashing, right? Like you can really tell are they a selfish person, like are you chill, can they read you, like are you laughing, are you having a good time, are they like taking themselves too seriously, like what's happening there, you know? You can tell a lot about their personality. And also like their game coming up to it, like, you know, how are they trying to smash you? Are they really smooth about it? Are they just like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing? Like, you can tell. You get that little, like, you know, little peep into the future.
Facts. And then like, in terms of like, STDs and birth control, like what's your like main tip and advice for that stuff?
So and this one's mainly for the ladies. You gotta be talking about that stuff. Like I know it's not sexy to be like, when's the last time you got tested, whatever. I'd say especially if like some people prefer to use condoms, people don't. If you're gonna use condoms, it's definitely better, but you should still ask the question, especially because you want to get used to it. Yeah. Like the more often you ask someone when the last time is they got tested, or maybe how many partners they had since last time they got tested, just ask it. It's automatically so much more mature. And I think it's better for both parties, right? Because you know, this girl isn't just like fucking around, like not being careful. Like if you ask and then you like the response, you can choose, I'm gonna use a condom, am I not? And if you're one who, you know, prefer to use condoms or something, like make sure you're still protecting yourself. Like go get tested often. Like there's no shame in that whatsoever. And for birth control, honestly, choose the one, like if you want to go on birth control, choose the one that suits your lifestyle better. So I think that for ladies, it's almost expected that you're on like the pill. A lot of people expect you're on the pill. Fuck the pill, honestly. It's the worst thing ever. Like, you need to take that shit, like, at the same time every day. It's so stressful. I've been out with my girlfriends at the club. They have to take out their pack and take their pill. Fuck that shit. Like, man, like, get an IUD or something. That was 5 years. And you know what, like, I don't know if it still is now, but it was free for the longest time. Like,
oh, what's an IUD?
IUD, it's like this really small little T-shaped device they put in your uterus. And it just acts as like birth control. It ranges from like 3 to 5 years. There's a copper one and there's a hormonal one, and those just, it depends on the effects on your body. And the cool thing though is with oral contraceptive like birth control pills, because it circulates like the hormones around your body, you get all of the side effects like, you know, throughout your body. But with like the IUD, because it's just in your uterus, it's just centralized, so it's really not so bad. And some girls actually stop having their period, or like it becomes like less common, or you bleed less. And like honestly, all that sounds great. Yeah. I know you can't relate there, but like periods suck.
I hope y'all can relate with that. But yeah, Sarah, I appreciate you coming onto the channel, dropping your expertise.
No worries, man.
I'll leave her socials down in the link below, so you can slide in her DMs and all that good stuff.
You better be smooth, or you're smooth as fuck.
Alright, God bless, much love, peace and joy. Namaste. And if it doesn't feed you, don't water it. Peace and joy.
Okay.
Typing on the net, the line, just let it ring. You got a strap, but you're not gonna do a thing. You claim a trap, but your line never ring. I what's your number? Type it in. Is this fake? You wanna let me ring?